I'm head of e-commerce at Push. I've been at Push for 2 years, and I'm going to hide away from Stephen when I say this because I was ex-Amazon as well before that. Probably the wrong building to say it in. So what I'm going to be going through today is a bit about Google Shopping. I'll explain our unique management process, how we manage Google Shopping. I'll go through some benefits, some features, and then I want to talk about the influence of an increase in mobile traffic on Google Shopping and how it's adapting. So let's start off by just explaining what Google Shopping is. So what it does is it lets customers search for products and compare prices through Google search. So this service can help you discover new customers and can help you to drive more sales. Here's an example of one of the placements for Google Shopping. And there's a few different placements, but this is the one which applies to us and will help us the most. So just on the bottom down here, this is a search firstly for a Nexus 5. And on the bottom right here, you've got your text-based ads. Just above in this red box, those are your Google Shopping ads. So what you can see here is they're quite striking, they're quite prominent, and the type of detail you have in there exceeds what you may get in the text-based ad. So you've got a product image, you've got a title, you've got a price, and you've got the name of the actual business who is selling that item. Some of you may have seen this placement, some of you may have not. But if you look at the main category menu on Google, where you've got images, maps, and a selection to view other sort of different search engines within Google, you've got one which is called Shopping. So under here, this is effectively a catalog on Google. And it shows listings that advertisers are listing via Google Shopping. There's some filters on the left-hand side here, so you can drill down via different product attributes. So that is the second one. Now, the third one is that Google Shopping can appear across multiple screens and applications. So this example here is what Google Shopping looks like on an Android device, to be specific at HTC One M8. And those are your listings there. Now, it's pretty neat on a mobile, to be fair, because you can see two listings there, but if you're actually on a mobile device, you can swipe your thumb from the right to the left, and you'll see some other listings. So it's quite neat. I think it fits about 4 to 6 ads on a mobile screen, because obviously you're limited for space. That's good innovation by Google. So I just want to explain how Google Shopping works, because sometimes when I speak to customers, there's a bit of confusion about this. So I just wanted you guys to understand a bit more about it. Google Shopping doesn't work via keyword targets, so you don't select your keywords. What Google does is it takes product data, and it's got a database of a lot of product data from many advertisers, and it matches against a search query. A search query is something that somebody types into Google. What it does is it puts these sets of data next to each other, and it returns a listing that is most relevant. So product listing ads appear when somebody searches for your product on Google Shopping. As I showed you earlier, it shows you a picture of your item, a price, and a shop name. And if somebody were to click on an ad, where it takes you is to the actual product page for that specific item that is being advertised. And how you pay for them is on a cost per click basis only when somebody clicks on the ad and is redirected to your website. This is a good thing about Google Shopping and what makes it a fantastic campaign type to use for anyone who has an e-commerce website buying function on their business. Because, giving an example, behavior was different before. You would have someone willing to go into a store, willing to look into multiple stores to find the best price, the best place to purchase. Online, somebody would be willing to maybe click on multiple ads, spend a bit of time looking for what they want to find the best price and the best shop, the one that's more competitive. Now behavior is changing, and people don't want to do that. They want to be able to find what they want at the best price with ease. So how Google Shopping works is it takes all of that qualification away from your budget. And it happens well before somebody comes through the site and it costs you money. So, I mean, not all of you here today have e-commerce websites, but here's something to consider. Could you make Google Shopping work for you? And what I mean by this is you may have a product or an offering which is actually a physical product, but you may not think straight away that you can sell it online, maybe for logistic reasons and so forth. But I'll give you a few examples of how others out there are making Google Shopping work for them. And maybe you could apply these to yourselves. And it could end up being a successful avenue for driving traffic. So this is one example of an item that is, for logistics purposes, probably not the best to be selling online. And you probably won't make that many sales online from it, but you may drive traffic to your website, and that may produce leads. So office glass partitions. Diamond engagement rings. So with an engagement ring, I mean, that again is not something that you typically purchase on a website. It's something that's quite special to someone to purchase. It's a considered purchase, and somebody who buys an engagement ring is going to want to see it. They're going to want to look into how it looks so they can make sure it's right for that special person they want to buy it for. So again, you could be selling these rings. You could have a business where you're selling goods like this, and you may not see the return online from advertising on them, but what you could drive is intent to purchase in different ways. If you've got a retail space, somebody may come to your store. If you've got a telephone number on your website, somebody may pick up the phone. There's other actions that can be driven, and it's not necessarily that they will purchase online. So just to go through some of the benefits, I mean, the first one, it is another avenue to drive traffic. Why you would expect a high CTR, which is click-through rate, which is the difference between how many people see your ads as opposed to how many then go on to click on it, is because of the amount of information in the ads. And the knock-on effect from that is on conversion rate, because we spoke about the pre-qualification. So when somebody does end up coming through to your website, they are more likely to purchase as well. And something else, just to add, the cost per clicks for Google Shopping listings are usually cheaper on average as well, in comparison to what you would pay on a normal text-based ad. So this is an example of how performance from a Google Shopping campaign has changed. And the business, they sell cookware online. Just to go through these stats, so we've got primarily two different type of campaigns running on the account. You've got a search campaign, and you've got shopping. Now, in 2014, search made up 52% of performance, so 52% of sales. On shopping, only 21%. In 2015, though, this has changed. Now, shopping has picked up. It's now making up 58% of total sales, and search is making up only 25%. So if you look at the percentage changes, search has gone down by 53%, and shopping has picked up by 209%. Now, you may be looking at those stats and wondering why search has gone down, but think about how, in that initial example, you saw text-based ads alongside the ads for Google Shopping. Somebody may see both ads at the same time, and because the Google Shopping ads stand out more, they're more likely to perhaps click on them as opposed to the text-based ad. So your performance on search may decline, but if you look at the increment performance from both campaigns working together, if you look at the difference between the two, there has been an increase overall. Bit of history now on Google Shopping. So it was invented by a man called Craig Neville Manning. It was formerly known as Google Product Search, Google Product, and Frugal. And it was renamed to Google Shopping on the 31st of May 2012. When it was renamed, what Google introduced is a new campaign type, and some of you will remember this, where we switched across our campaigns from PLAs, as they were called, to Google Shopping. With it came a few additional benefits, more control over how we can use our product feed to then go on to manage it and increase performance. So I'm just going to go through a few of the new features that came with the new Google Shopping campaign. And the first one is that it enabled us to use a retail-centric way to manage our product feed. What I mean by this is, in the old PLA campaign type, a product feed is made up of different components, different attributes. It has a product title on it, a brand, where your product is sold, a landing page for it, a description. All of the information that makes up your listing is on that product feed. Now before, you used to have to add another column next to that data in order to control those particular products, whatever you chose on that feed, in AdWords. So you would have to label everything individually. Made things a bit difficult, because say for example, if you wanted to bid individually on item A, item B, and item C, you would have to label them all individually. Now though, you can use the attributes from your feed in AdWords within Google Shopping to control the different brands that you have in your feed, the different items you have in your feed, the different product types. The second feature is that you can now see performance, and I'll just point to this, in a lot more depth. So if you look at this example here, I'm not sure how clear it is, but what you can see is the top level shoes and the performance for shoes in your feed, and then the level below for individual products within the shoes category and all the stats associated with it. So you can see how many clicks you've had, how many times the listing has appeared, the total cost for each individual as well. This is interesting, and this was quite a great change, and one that really helped quite a bit with managing Google Shopping. And that is that the new campaign type has now given us competitive data, which helps us to seize our opportunity. So there's two data sets which have really helped. The first one is new data for benchmark CTR, click-through rate, and benchmark max CPC, cost per click. How this data has helped, to give you an example, if you look at benchmark max CPC, what this describes is for the product that you are advertising, it describes what the benchmark is for the other advertisers listing the same product. What is the bid that everyone else is bidding at? Gives you an idea and a sense as to then what you should go on to bid. Benchmark CTR, this is describing how many times for which an ad is seen is it being clicked on for your advertisers who are listing the same product as you. Now, if your benchmark CTR, if your own benchmark CTR, is lower than confused point. So if your CTR is lower than the benchmark CTR, then you're probably going to want to look at whether you're bidding high enough. You're probably going to want to look at whether your data quality is as good as your competitors, just so you can get that click-through rate up, so you can get more people attracted to your ad in order to click through and bring them to your site. So there's two other features that have been introduced recently. And the first one is a new column of data for impression share. Now, your impression share basically describes how many times you're being shown for the amount of times that you're eligible to. And say, for example, you were only appearing 10% of the time, you're losing 90% of opportunity. And now you can see that, whereas before you couldn't. Secondly, you've got a new bid simulator as well. And this bid simulator basically suggests if you were to increase your bids by X amount, you could get X amount back. So both of these new tools, these new features, allow you to see whether you're losing performance due to insufficient bids or budget. So moving on, I just wanted to describe our management process. So when we manage Google Shopping campaigns, we're following 10 principles. And these principles are broken down into 3 sections, if you like. So the first one, its aim is to remove wastage. The second, to optimize our bids. The third, to increase the quality of our listings. Now, I've highlighted 5 of these because I'm going to expand them in a bit more detail because we've created some set processes. We've developed our own tools to help with them. So I just want to explain them in a bit more depth later. So just touching on some of the things that we do take into consideration when we first start managing a Google Shopping campaign are things like, is the correct availability been set on the feed? Because if you don't have the correct availability set, then it's probably not worth listing that product because you're going to be sending traffic to your website for somebody to find that they can't even buy the product. With optimizing bids, what we advise and what we do when managing campaigns is we separate products out performing. Because if you've got a set budget and product A is taking all the budget up, it's restricting how well product B can perform within that same campaign. So by splitting it out, we can create more opportunity. What we also try and do, I'm going to just explain these two together, is we try and make sure that we're using the Google taxonomy, which is basically an index. So if you think of a catalog, if you use the right, say, category from the index, then your product will be sat in the right place where you want it to. Because when somebody goes onto Google and they look through Google Shopping and they try and navigate manually, you want to make sure that your shoes aren't appearing on the t-shirts and so forth. And with the product type, these are basically your own classifications that you can use in your feed. Because what's in the Google taxonomy may not always describe what the product actually is to yourselves. So Google may define it as, shoes as shoes. You can define your shoes as say a red shoe, a blue shoe, and so forth with the product type, this attribute. And then we always advise to be selective with your images. So we always check data feed quality, and this goes back to your click-through rates. If you've got using better images, if your images stand out more than, say, your competitors, then it's likely that you're going to get a higher click-through rate. It's going to perform better than the other. So I said I was going to go through those boxes that were highlighted. So the first one is to describe a bit more about how we remove products that do not make you any money. So we've developed a tool in the Push Analyzer, and it's a really clever tool that allows us to do this and react to changes in demand. Because, I mean, the demand for products can change. And if you were to, for example, sit and try and adjust bids according to their performance, on Monday, it may change by the end of the week. And because you could have thousands of products in your feed, to do that could take hours. So what this new tool does is it can control your bids, so decide whether to bid higher or lower according to your return on advertising spend, or as it will be known in AdWords, within the platform conversion value over cost. So to give you an example, for every pound spent, if it were to deliver £10 of sales, the Push Analyzer, the tool, will increase bids by 10%, 10p, sorry. Got a chart here to go through a few more examples. So here we've got product item A, item B, item C, and item D. Each one has had 100 clicks. And I'm just going to describe what the Push Analyzer would do if, in this scenario, our target to decide whether it is worth us advertising or not is that we should achieve 1,000% return on advertising spend. So if we look at item A, we've had 100 clicks, return on advertising spend is 1,200. Because that product is working well, because to me, I'm making money on that item, the Push Analyzer is going to increase bids by 10p. With item B, I'm getting 100% return on advertising spend. I'm not making so much. In fact, I'm probably losing money on the item. So what the Push Analyzer will do is it will decrease bids by 10p. With item C, return on advertising spend is 500%. Now, I wanted return on advertising spend ideally to be 1,000%, but look, if I decrease bids by 5p, maybe I might get to a level where I'm saving a bit of cost, so it makes me that additional amount back. So I'm going to decrease bids by 5p, and the Push Analyzer can make those decisions. And then on this last example, say if return on advertising spend was 0%, and it has been for some time, the Push Analyzer could turn that product off. The push analyzer has other features on it, and another one is that it can help us to add negatives, keywords. I'm going to give you an example of someone whom we work with who sells sofa covers for IKEA sofas. Now, in their data feed, there's a lot of attention to IKEA, and because Google uses an algorithm, you don't set your keyword targets, it's difficult to separate out, say, keywords that are specific for IKEA searches for covers and for actual types of furniture. So what we did, and what the push analyzer made easier to do, is to generate a report of keywords that haven't converted in the last 30, 60, 120 days, however we wanted to apply it. And what we were able to do is filter out any that didn't have the word cover in them. And then what we've been able to do with that very easily is go on to add them to our campaigns, so we're not paying for any of the clicks anymore on keywords that are too broad, that don't suit what we're actually selling. Something else that we recommend is to look after your data quality, and especially because Google's algorithm reads from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and there's a lot of prominence on titles. What we try and do is we analyze and we try and swap and change to find the right configuration. On some website platforms, it's actually difficult to do though. You can't really easily change the product titles, but that's why, we've developed a scraping tool, so we can scrape the information as it is live on the website, so we can go on to manipulate the data as we need. So I'll give an example, just applying this. So on the top, I spoke about the guys who sell those IKEA sofa covers. And if you look at the title, as it were, before intervention, IKEA, which is the brand, Ectorp, which is the model, was at the end of the title. And like I said, Google's algorithm runs from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So that listing was not ranking very high in comparison to competitors. So what we've done is we've come in and we've changed the order around. We've moved IKEA and Ectorp to the start of the title. We've added in further detail for a color, and we've increased the amount of data that is in the description. Now, just by doing this, with no other changes at all, CTR, click-through rate, has increased by 30% month on month. Here's something else that we will try and work on if it suits our business. So there's different attributes that you can add to your feed, because if you were to just use the attributes that Google has, you're limited to control your feed via brand, via product type, basically the default attributes that make up your product feed. What you can add though under custom labels is another column, so you can mark down what products are your best sellers, what products are on clearance perhaps, so you can optimize these grouping of products with ease. Otherwise, on Google Shopping, you'll be looking through your feed, you'll be picking out individually via the individual item ID which products are best sellers, which products are on clearance, in order to then go on to manage them, which can be a bit long. So this takes that away. The example here is just how somebody is using price buckets to manage their feed. So we've got low, medium, top, and high, because the items in this feed that aren't a substantial amount, have a small margin, it's very important to split them out from those which are high value and therefore have a bigger margin. So another way you can separate your listings is by using promotions. So there are a few ways to stand out on Google Shopping. These are two examples. So on the left-hand side here, what you can actually do is you can add, when somebody hovers over your ad, a third line of text. This third line of text could be for a unique selling point. In this particular example, it's of someone whom we work with who sells cakes. And I've got a call to action on the bottom there, which is order by 2 p.m. for next day delivery. It's just to try and increase urgency. try and get someone to click on that ad as opposed to the one before it or the one after. On the right-hand side, this is a beta. So as Stephen mentioned, we always have access to the latest innovations. This one has allowed us to add marking for a special offer under our listing and give customers a £5 voucher that they can redeem when they come through to the website. So I just want to touch now on the influence of an increase of mobile traffic and how Google Shopping has adapted to it. So I'm just going to go through these stats, which is quite interesting, and I'll start off from the lower percentage to the highest. So 30% of people are now more likely to visit a retailer's website. They are 39% more likely to call a business. They are 51% more likely to make a purchase, and 57% more likely to visit a store after searching on mobile. So how Google has adapted, how shopping is adapting, is via one example here, introducing local inventory ads. So local inventory ads are product listing ads from nearby retailers, and they're displayed with a local pin icon. So there's an example below here, and what they show is in-store availability, product detail, and other related items that may be available at in that retail space. This has been transferred to desktop as well, and it's been appended on a desktop. Sorry, the listings have been appended on a desktop with a map pin and an in-store annotation where they appear. Now, the reason why this is coming in is because things are changing. If we look at this table here, it explains how lines between offline and online shopping experiences are blurring. So again, starting from the lower percentage change to the highest, 70% of people now visit a store first and then purchase online. 32% of people research online, visit a store to view a product, then return online to purchase. 44% of people research online and buy products online. And 51% of people research online and then visit stores to purchase. And that's why local inventory ads are now going to become very important. I mean, till now, we've only considered attribution digitally. This is a report that some of you may have seen, that your account managers may have sent over to you, showing the different paths that customers take that leads to a conversion, to a sale. I'll just go through one of these just to show you how complicated it can get. So on the second line, this particular individual came through firstly via organic search. So they went on Google, they saw one of our natural listings, and they clicked through to the website. After that, after learning about us, it looks like they've typed in our URL into the browser, into their browser. But then they've gone off again. They haven't converted yet. But then they've come through on email. They've seen an email from us, and they've come back to the website. Then they've come direct again. Then they've seen our paid ad. Then they've come up direct 3 times. It just gets complicated. Yeah, the attribution is very complex. Now, till now, we've only been considering, as I've mentioned, what happens online. We haven't taken into consideration what happens away from online. And it's becoming very complex. So that's why we need to take this in consideration and broaden our understanding. So what's likely to happen in the future? Well, local and online availability is likely to become a key influence in the decision-making process. Customers on the move will probably want to find and buy in the most way convenient, and that's likely why success has been very large for Amazon. It is very important to understand the changing behavior and match our strategy with it. And this is only the beginning, and there's probably a lot more to come. So these 3 things are away from Google Shopping, but there are other key features that could be successful if you have an e-commerce business. So the first one that I'll take you through is dynamic remarketing. The second, a new countdown function that we have available to us from Google. And then a tool that has been developed in the push analyzer, which is called the ad customizer. So firstly, dynamic remarketing. I mean, a lot of you are probably running remarketing right now. And how remarketing works is that what Google does when somebody comes through the website is it captures their IP. So that when they go off browsing other websites, we can show banners to them in order to re-engage them and bring them back to our website in order to maybe make a purchase at a later stage. So it acts as a reminder, and it's almost a subliminal message that appears even if they don't click on it, that could help future conversion. Dynamic remarketing is a step further. So for e-commerce, if somebody comes through and views a specific product, what we can do now via remarketing is we can show that specific product in a banner as they browse the web. It's a strategy that is really powerful, and because it provides a unique experience, it works pretty well. The countdown feature, introduced recently, enables you to add detail on how long may be left for a sale or a promotion that you are running. So in this particular example, there's a sale running for 30% off, and it ends in 4 days. Tomorrow, that ad's going to dynamically change to 3 days, the day after to 2 days, and then it'll count down by an hour. Now, you guys can probably understand what effect that will have. I mean, it's going to engage someone a lot more than if you didn't have that messaging there. So you can apply that in different ways. It needn't just have to be for somebody who has an e-commerce business. For any one of you, if you're running some sort of promotion, you could use this because you can change the messaging behind. It is only the days that are controlled by the actual insert that controls the countdown. And lastly, this is something I wanted to describe that we've developed because it is quite interesting and probably help quite a few of you. The ad customizer enables you to protect your quality scores now. I'll just explain how it works. So till now, if you've had a promotion running, what you've had to do is you've had to go into the account and you've had to create a new ad. Now, when you turn your old ad off and you run a new ad, you lose quality score on the old ad that was running, and you then have to build up score on the new ad that runs. So with this tool, what we can do is we can now manage your ads off a spreadsheet and feed data into one ad where you've got data inputs that source off a spreadsheet. So for a e-commerce business, let's take, for example, somebody who may be selling skincare with loads of multiple brands, who is likely to have loads of different discounts for their products. You could have all of this in a spreadsheet, so you don't have to keep going into your account and changing your ads. For somebody who doesn't have an e-commerce website, if you do have a unique selling point, if you do have a promotion that you're regularly changing, then you could apply this in a similar way, in a sense that you could just have an insert maybe on your third line, so that you don't lose quality score. Say if you wanted to, let's apply it, if you wanted to set a different delivery threshold, say you're trying to increase average order values on your website, if you wanted to test different ads with different thresholds for free delivery, you could change your ads very easily then if you controlled it via the spreadsheet, instead of going in and changing your ad copies around. That could obviously affect your quality score. So let's summarize. Every business trading online who should be using Google Shopping. Especially due to the recent increase in mobile traffic, you are likely to generate more sales, not just online, but in store by doing so. Cross-device behavior must be taken into consideration when measuring success because the attribution model is complex. And just to remind you guys, I mean, all of our account managers are shopping certified. We keep up to date with the latest initiatives, and we have access to the latest betas.